Meeting. It is 6:03 in attendance. We have Anthony Zampini, Jason Gumpert, Elizabeth Stoughton. Everybody had a chance to read the minutes from the 6/11/2025 meeting.
Yes.
Any questions, comments, adjustments you make?
Motion to approve the 6/11/2025 meeting minutes. All right, request for certificate of compliance, DEP file number 150-0464. Request for complete 31-10-6A. Applicant David and Elizabeth Bilkovy.
For the plan, you guys can see here that the lawn is stabilized, the wetland monuments were put in. Mike Smith, that everything looks good, he inspected it.
I have no issue. Yeah, I'll make a motion to give a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 1. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Certificate of compliance under DEP file 150-77, request for complete certificate of compliance of 38 Country Club. David Fazzino and Lynn Fazzino, 38 Country Club Drive, East Meadow, Mass. 01028.
Yeah,
It's part of a bigger group.
Yeah.
That this one is.
Yeah, part of a bigger. On it, that's the one that went to the site.
Oh, yeah, there was a lot of lawn debris dumped. to them.
There's pictures in there.
50 feet is above the zone.
There's pictures in there.
Yeah. Yep, so if that's good. Oh, yeah, let's see. But this is a partial, right, Alex?
Because it's part of a bigger subdivision, so it'll release that lot totally and any that are.
Address.
A partial for that address.
All right, I'll make a motion for a partial certificate of compliance. 38 Country Club Drive.
Second.
All right, notice of intents. NOI 2025. 23-0 for the dredging of Blackman Pond to remove sediment as well as other park improvements subject to the Wetlands Protection Act 310. For wetlands protection, applicant Town of East Meadow, 60 Center Square, East Meadow, Mass. 01028. Continued from 6.
Yeah, go ahead.
Make a motion that we
Continue to August 13th.
continue to this to August.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, notice of intent, NOI 2025-303. That's 14A. For the construction of single-family homes subject to the Wetlands Protection Act 310 CMR 10. Local wetlands. Camp and Area Construction LLC, 128 Federal Street, Springfield, Mass. 01105.
I just hear from for the landowner, Camp American, for this single family home. This was part of Happy Acre. Cut off lots of lots. At the time, they just showed these stylized houses for each lot. We're here to do a permit for lot 14, which is approved under the notice of intent for the subdivision. Those are still valid. So we have the flags and Mike's gonna put them on the plan here from the original. House is in a similar location it was proposed under the original notice, and obviously there's more detail to it now. They actually have a house plan. Looking out of the front, looking in the back. This is the buffer zone here, so only the back corner of the house is in the buffer and a little bit of the grading on this side. Subdivision approval, showing monumentation along that limit of work line. This is the 20. Wetland at its closest point. Well, this area here will just be lawn. This area that's behind the no disturb line, it's pretty much open now. There's no shrubs and grass usually growing there. Well, minimal grading, really no tree removal required. Then roughly where. Put some no disturb markers out there along the limit of work, so everybody's well aware of how far they can go, you know, once they own the house. They're from the subdivision, but they can be upgraded as needed to be, you know, most effective. That's essentially it.
Walked that subdivision 3 times.
Opposite of that.
I know, right? Anybody have any?
So.
Looks good.
Anybody else have any questions?
Comment about wetland permanent, did you mention permanent wetland marker?
Yeah, yep,
Sorry, I was having a little trouble hearing you.
yep, sorry. I don't have a lot to explain.
Yes, I'll make a motion to. Anybody else have anything to add? Make a motion to close the public. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Looks pretty good to me. Thanks.
Yeah,
There you go.
it's negative.
Limit of work.
We have like our standard ones that I included, if you want to include any of them, and then.
We have to read each of the standard ones, or can we just say that our standard?
I would read them. I think that's.
Read them all.
All right. Special conditions.
Wait.
All right. 3, the following special conditions prior to commencement of any work on the site, including any clearing or grading, adequate erosion and sediment barriers as shown on the plans identified in general condition 13 shall be implemented and maintained in effect throughout the entire construction phase. It is the applicant and or property owner's responsibility to inspect and maintain the erosion and sedimentation control measures and to take any additional measures. Applicant and or property owner shall maintain sufficient supplies of sedimentation controls on site to deal with normal maintenance and any emergencies which may sedimentation control measures before any grading or excavating can take place. The applicant and or property owner shall notify the commission construction meeting with the applicant and or property owner and his excavation contractor prior to beginning of construction. The contractor employee to provided with a copy of this order, and thereafter said contractor will be held jointly responsible with the applicant and property owner for any violations and the penalty shall be as shown on the plans identified in general condition 13 and attached herein. Permanent limit of work lines shall mean that no grading or clearing shall be on the limit of work line with dry materials, including but not limited to grass clippings, leaves, brush cement, asphalt, or ashes. No tree land area. The name and phone number of the person responsible for monitoring erosion and sedimentation controls must be provided to the commission. An event due to an emergency at the site during any 24-hour period, including weekends, this person shall be given the authority to stop construction for erosion control places and to oversee the cleaning and proper disposal of waste products. The commission must be notified immediately if the designation shall be left in stable condition at the close of each working day. Erosion and sedimentation controls shall be inspected at this time and maintained or reinforced as necessary. In accordance with supporting documents submitted with the notice of intent, the Department of Environmental Protection Stormwater Management Policy as approved. Activity described on the approved plans and approved documents referenced in this order. Any other or additional activities in areas within the jurisdiction or its agent. You guys get all that?
You wanna do one for permanent work?
Oh, it's not, it wasn't in there.
It wasn't in there.
No, those were just the general.
So yeah, with the addition of permanent limit. What do they call them? Pylons or concrete pylons?
Yeah.
Really, the name is escaping me. Anybody want to second that thing?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Not quite read out yet. All right, request for determination of applicability, RDA 2025. Summers Road and 0 Summers Road. Assessors parcel ID 95-34-0 and 95-36. Protection Act and local bylaw. Applicant were a farm LLC 896 Summers Road, East Long Meadow, Mass. 01028.
Your plan, the applicants, Bill and Jason of Ware Farm LLC. We're here tonight, for the RDA. 96 Summers Road. This is down on Summers Road, down near the state line. Ainsley Drive. We're here, the jurisdictional area on the property is in regard to, an old farm. The 100-foot jurisdictional buffer zone associated therewith. Currently, the area has been sort of. What the RDA has presented as well is a restoration plan, which depicts some blueberry bushes being planted. To the pond, and then the rest to be loam and seeded and revegetated. I believe Alex or kind of walk the line there of the pond. So generally, it's the restoration work within the 100. So just requesting that the RDA sort of set the delineation of the pond and the downgrading. Within that jurisdictional area, so it's. If there's any questions, then we can try to answer them.
What do around the pond? You want
Basically revegetate, plant some blueberry bushes, just up adjacent. Perennial pollinators, kind of like bees, so get some bee habitat up against the pond here, and then the rest. I think. Sorry.
You ceased. Right. But yeah, we really haven't done. Plans when we're gonna start working the rest of the property that we were gonna come back and see you guys. A lot of the vegetation has. Is all natural vegetation there. We do plan on adding, like we said, some blueberries. I think they would grow really well there. Obviously, we won't add them till the fall. Just two, right? But then we do have bees on our property. Flowers and stuff like that for pollinate would be great. So help them.
Yeah, we could use some help. Yeah.
Let's begin. Oh, wait a minute, I'm like, this is.
That's me.
Like, I know we're supposed to have a copy.
That's.
Okay.
There you go.
Once you're done, what is this gonna be?
In the jurisdictional area?
Yeah, where the vernal pool is.
It's.
It's running in all of this. So that means kids will go around and look at things. They're going to be controlling that. our site, you can walk, that the banks of the pond are pretty steep, and we might at some point, come back with NOI. We
That's
all,
why I wanna tell you.
yeah, yeah, that's, so right now, we don't plan on doing that, we're not touching it, and,
How about, and I was talking. Permanent. So you can see through it, you
What
can
is
see
it?
what's
What
happening
is
in
it?
that pool, a lot of interesting stuff going on. We talked about the difference in areas. If we were to do that, we circle that area. Right? No. Garden fence is considered anything, lower than 36 inches. So you can see through it, spaced.
Right.
There today, and I
Yeah.
spent the last 2 days hand planting pumpkin seeds for,
How close did you go to the pond? To the vernal pond?
it's 100.
we're out of the jurisdictional area on anything else.
Yeah.
My only point is within that jurisdictional area, it's all now. I'm not quite sure that a fence would make a huge difference because there's a wall of grass and growth at this point. Growth.
Okay. No, I was just.
They're allowed to put, is that what was?
Yeah.
The permanent?
Yeah, I
Stabilize
think
the
if we
place.
planned on doing something. Yes, you guys have, but at this point, I don't plan on doing anything for that area.
So if we could, just to,
Right,
talk about. And B-bomb, which is perennial, is for our apiary. And it's also for our farm operation. The farm pond.
we clearly put a lot of work into this.
Yeah.
But
I see.
I think personally, it requires a notice.
Yeah, we haven't done that.
No, I mean, you've done the,
Do you have a response to that? Cause I thought when we walked and met with you guys out on site, it was decided that an RDA would be sufficient, cause we weren't looking to. Restore it back to what it was per your guys' request, so, it was my understanding that RDA was all we would. Rupture to that area, we don't plan to. We have other things to worry about. to be
Yeah,
honest with
I
you.
can kind of add to that. For the permanent improvements in there, like if you're gonna go into the buffer zone with some parking or a structure in there, what's being proposed. Restoration within that 100-foot buffer zone, that's shown on the restoration plan, and there's no permanent structures or impervious area or anything.
Some species between the bittersweet and the prickers that you've all seen, or the people that came out.
where's the 100-foot?
If you can
It's right
see it, it's it goes right around here.
It actually,
Right, and you wanna go in there and disturb that.
We don't wanna do anything. We think-
Yeah, if you'd rather just leave it as
It's restored back to the-
or somewhere else.
Look, I'm sympathetic to your cause. I mean, I wanna see that place.
Then we have to. We think that what we did for, when we cleaned the pond is all grown back. stuff is all back. Nothing was permanent. And we just added to it because you guys asked us to. But if we don't have to, fantastic.
Keep in mind, this farm pond was a pig pond previously, so. Removed. And so it can be utilized for irrigation for the farm purposes. A farm pond or a farm purpose.
How's the trash?
I'm sorry.
There's
To work with us on a weekly basis there to continue to clean up the land.
Yeah.
By hand picking trash up that's on the ground.
Yeah.
But having
so
52 20-yard dumpsters of trash. For 20 years, this place was left dilapidated with no warnings or nothing.
no, it's your
Our own
responsibility.
It's
But any-
1,000 times better than it was.
Sure, yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, I think the improvement within the buffer zone is substantial improvement over what was there. It's gonna be rebuilt.
So to be clear, those bushes top and bottom, those are to be planted or are planted?
To be.
To be.
To be planted.
But if you are not to do that, our understanding was that you wanted them in that buffer zone. We would be happy to work completely outside. Back. Everything that was disturbed is back.
Right, so
I would like to see it like that.
Outside of the trash.
How do you guys feel about that? Is that
remember
the
the
way it's
very-
thrown back and just,
I mean,
or do you want them to go in there and?
I'd like to see it not disturbed again.
Super.
And if you guys remember when we came here originally in the fall, it's because we went in and cleaned it and we
Yeah.
didn't come and see you guys because we
Yeah,
didn't know any
exactly.
better.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so we're just. Don't clean anything, just leave it as it is. We'd be glad to do so.
We have other areas that we can play.
Plenty of other stuff to do on that site.
So 25.
Generally is, well, not to speak, I can speak from my past experience on the board on some. And me personally, if you were just gonna leave it alone, then I'd probably be fine with an RDA. But you're obviously gonna have to put in erosion measures, and you could probably make it what you want. Me personally. To go the NOI route,
Right.
just
And
being
that's-
straight.
And that was our plan, Tom. So our plan was the correct what we did. And leave it as. We'd do an NOI and a complete plan and how we were gonna change the area. And make sure that it was in compliance of we absolutely are. And we've been working with the NRSC and the Farm Service Agency, you know, to try to figure out. What we are allowed to do in agricultural piece of property. So you know, so we're kind of.
Go see. Registered as a farm and then find out.
Registered as-
All right, good.
Yeah,
And
I'm a
then,
member of the Massachusetts Farm Bureau.
Yeah, but also with the.
perfect. Oh, because, you know, obviously farming is federally protected. And then find out what your, how much leeway you have with. And I'm sure the board would be. Me on the board would have a kinder ear, you know, farm owner as well. Elizabeth of a -3. Which is basically they're gonna leave it alone if they choose to do anything.
Ask if anybody else wants to. Speak
Oh,
before we get that far, and then close the public hearing.
I'm gonna speak for everyone.
About this, for the audience.
Living at 16 Forest Hill Road and across the street from there. And my only question is, we always seem to be putting the cart before. We can't even talk about what the uses of this property are. Been in the planning meeting, which we're going to again next week. And they keep telling us. You know, I mean, what we're doing right now with the pond, and I'm assuming that that's all fine if we needed to be further than. Yeah, with that, is there any runoff? Well, again, it seems funny to me that we don't have like planning board here. I don't care about the, about the pond, but I care about the property.
We could-
It is gonna have an impact. Happen there in the future, depending on use of the property. But I mean, we talked about having,
Jersey. Conservation land.
well, I mean.
We can't speak to the future of that place, any other part of that place.
Well, nobody can do that.
We only have jurisdiction.
I mean, I've heard discussions here of the owners saying that they will never put a restaurant there or a bar.
Through the chair, please. Through the chair, gentlemen.
Sorry, sir. I'm happy to talk to him about.
You're gonna
this.
address.
We're here for conservation and we're here to talk about the buffer zone and what the tenant can't do within that buffer zone. But we cannot talk to planning or future use. Be a planning board question or whatever other, committees they have to go before. Sorry, guys, we. Anybody else have anything they want to say? Questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Jeff Delesio, 2 Forks Hill Road. So on the buffer zone issue
Yeah.
there. I guess. Versus the.
Yeah, so if they decide, so basically.
Yeah, I'm asking you to educate us because this is.
Yeah,
all for-
Of course, yep. So basically what happened. Area, and now it's all grown back to what it was originally, which is native grasses and everything else. So what we're here to discuss is that we've disturb it to plant bushes, which is kind of counterintuitive. We don't want to mess it up if we don't have to. If it's all grown back, we're going to leave it as it is. If in the future to see what they want to do, and we'll see if that's within the jurisdictions. And it all also depends too on if it's agricultural farmland use versus. That helps?
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else have questions? Comments?
Noting that.
So. Just to be clear, like, is there anything on that plan that you want that? That effect?
We haven't been in there for a long time.
I was in like a -3. Which, in other words,
addition to that in the comments here, and you could make a special condition saying not to perform any of the work and to leave it alone. That's by hand. So-
Okay.
so we-
We can still- we can-
It's still by
You can
hand,
still
yeah,
do-
absolutely,
yeah.
yes, yep, absolutely, yep. And we
Or
can,
removal of invasive.
we can put that in,
The plantings, then you could just like, under an RDA, you could approve that if they're removing it by hand. So just,
is that the, which? Right, but what determination could be,
Yeah.
so they're listed on the fourth page.
is that a negative?
Items not.
So positive one
Other one?
here.
Positive is your visitor.
Association.
Yeah, but they- Any positive's gonna be a
Jurisdiction one there.
Okay,
Requires.
And that two is saying that. I'm saying the delineations are accurate.
yep,
as
that's
they
true.
Flagged them. And this -3 says the work is the jurisdiction. But they asked all of these questions, so you answer, you give all of these determinations,
Okay,
plus there's one more in the back saying that there's no.
all four determinations then, because of
Right.
the questions that were asked,
Right,
okay.
Me with the vote on all four.
so you issue a,
oh, you, I've never heard of that before. Because they all have different. You can't, I don't know that you can do that.
So removing, filling, dredging, or altering requires filing of an NOI, that's true.
All right, so it's not a positive one.
But if it's multiples. That's what we're getting at, yeah, so that's.
Not no disturbing, it's wrong, but
Because.
at the point. Unless, for now, that solves.
Like,
Oh, I know.
Moving pile and dredging requires one. That would be
Moving,
future.
dredging, right, but
Future.
they're not
work
doing that.
requires.
it's just saying, positive one, just saying the area is jurisdictional, it's not.
It's all saying,
But they're not
just
doing any
confirming it's
activity.
jurisdictional. Is really what we're saying.
I'm with you. I think they updated the form recently.
Yeah.
Now there's different.
oh, you can have multiple.
Something.
Yeah, other stuff.
We could vote on each one.
Well, no, it's, there's,
No,
we
well,
can actually just say, we can do this.
Sure.
issue
We're
those.
not in-
Oh,
So there's like a positive. A negative 3.
yeah, I don't feel comfortable with issuing a positive and a negative and multiple positive and
we can
negative.
see
Hold
what they.
Saying that the area is jurisdictional.
Mango milkshake.
correctly, for C, the activities, it's a negative saying that they're not subject to filing a notice of intent, and then for D, we're saying that they don't.
The 2A -3.
Yeah, it's right here. He wrote it out for us.
Yeah, and then I gave you.
That's right. I think it's-
When any,
Of
like you need to
invoices.
specify like what work you want to allow and not to allow, yeah. Does that make sense? A little more?
Each,
We have to give a determination for each one of the HS.
so big on it.
Yeah.
So the only one that's -3.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Okay.
Nations. Subset A.
Yeah,
Oh,
just make a motion.
Or we want them to perform from that restoration plan. So if you don't want them to.
Right, we have to, but we have to put them.
Because they need to know
Yeah.
what they're doing. The state that.
this is all for that one, just that one.
And if they don't want, if you don't want them to plant any of blueberry, et cetera, then we have to tell them that. And want the blueberry invasives. Specify this as still what you want them to do about the pot plant. What? Sure.
So it's
And the area is jurisdictional, so if they were to like go in with an excavator and dig a big trench, that would require a notice of intent.
got it.
Can I just ask a question? In the evasives, if we can at least, if you got. We prefer that.
Yeah.
Because that way, if we wanna clean it, we can, but it's not something you're enforcing,
Absolutely.
then that'd be great, and if you are enforcing it, then that happens, that. Like calling you guys and.
It'd probably be better if we were to do it too, like later in the year so that we.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we got.
Without disturbing anything.
Yeah.
Liz, if you want them to plant the blueberries or just leave it the way it is, it's a fee. Stay the same.
Perfect.
So,
Make that into a motion.
so.
Hold on. Thank you. Now.
That was just for the restoration plan, so.
We'll apply these to these.
But no,
What's that?
to,
You know,
so IDA. It's.
There are exemptions to this, so that's different.
So. Any work that the road invasive they do by hand.
Yep. And they don't have to plant blueberry bushes.
All right. Any work in this area will be done by hand to remove invasive species only. And the determinations on A would be +1, B would be a D would be a -6.
B would be -3.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, C would be a -3. So one positive one, two positive 2A, three -3, four.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Right.
We want it to be
And we
correct
can
for
still
you
clean
guys.
though, right?
We want it to be correct.
Yeah, you can still clean it, you can still
By
clean by
hand.
hand, yeah,
Big thing.
you're good, yeah, you're good.
Thank you. That's exciting to hear about the other one at the park, so that's getting moved. Next meeting.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
yeah, that's.
Yeah, I'll be happy then. We can read it. Sorry, Jeff,
Yeah.
it's all closed.
So,
Overview.
yeah, so a +1 determination. Jurisdictional area, so it's basically within our jurisdiction. And if they decided to do any filling or dredging in the future, they have to file a notice of intent, which the resource areas described on the reference plan are confirmed as accurate, so their delineations are correct. Confirm they're accurate. The resource area boundaries confirmed. And its regulations regarding such boundaries for as long as this determination is valid. The -3 is the work described in the request is within the buffer zone, which we said. Jurisdiction under the act. Therefore, said work does not require the filing of notice of intent, subject to the following conditions, which we said if they're going to remove the invasive. Come back. And then the last one is the -6 is the area and or work described in the request is not subject to additional review. Our town bylaw on the wetlands. We have an additional bylaw that's related to the Wetlands Protection Act. Does that help?
Normally, I think, we're just gonna, most people are laying terms, 100-foot buffer is the hard line, well, not the hard line, but it's the first line.
Yeah. 25, depending on what the wetlands look like and where something is situated, what they're trying to do. But yeah, sometimes we can go down to 25, but 50 is usually.
Kind of like an ox.
Yeah, and it's already grown back from when they pulled everything up before, so we'd rather just leave it and not disturb it.
I understand all that, I just don't understand the mentality there. You know, invite people onto the property.
I know, I get it. Totally.
People would have hard of hearing, you really can't hear them. You gotta come over, say hello.
I don't know. It's a good question.
I can hear you. Yeah, ask about that. Yeah, because you're back there, this
Can't
is
hear me.
okay, today,
Yeah.
up front, back there, we
Right.
did last night. So I
Sure.
was just thinking for other people too. Right.
No, we'll talk to, I'll talk.
So,
Project monitor.
No, here he is looking in the speakers for back here.
That'd be great.
We have the same shooter. We get anyone. Okay.
EO 2025-01 stream alteration at 633 to 759 Summers Road.
Day, and we were talking about it, so Brian Coventry was
Yes.
working with Nancy Aaron, has been up. He's applied for his current requirements are.
okay,
And how that pertains to our jurisdictional area, so that way we don't duplicate efforts or make him go through more permitting processes,
Right.
but he's making progress. He's actually
okay.
making.
No, I think that's okay. I agree with that. You guys good with that?
Sure.
Okay.
Do we have to vote on that or what?
No.
And then, EO 2022-01 Porter Road, 83.
Just our 30 days is up. I just have to ask you for permission to give it another 30 days before we put it back in summary judgment.
I think that's fine. If we're getting requests for the. No. You guys.
Yes, definitely.
Then, anything else? Alex?
No, that was everything.
Sweet. Is the continuation of Heritage Park, we
Yep.
do assume they will have all their information, correct?
We can hope,
Do we need to? It's just as a precaution,
yeah,
because
let me know.
if they have all their information. We were in our little room over there and I got yelled at by a lot of people because they didn't have chairs, like, we didn't know you were gonna show up. That's why I was like wondering, you should probably just in case.
All right,
Show up.
I'll ask for the bigger space.
Okay, cool. Anybody else have anything?
I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Nice.
Sweet.